Alright guys, this is going to be one last video on the Beretta 1301 and generally how to set it up. This is my home defense shotgun now. It's replaced my previous utility shotgun, which was my 870 Police, which I've had for years and years. It's a great shotgun, and I've generally been hesitant to switch over to a semi-automatic, but this Beretta has made me a believer. The Beretta does, it's got some issues in terms of how to set it up, because the gun was clearly meant to be a sporting shotgun and it has sort of transitioned over, and it hasn't had the time to develop that some of the other shotguns have. And unlike, say, the Benelli, it wasn't meant to be a tactical shotgun from the beginning. But nevertheless, the solutions are here as far as I can tell. My favorite light setup is the Surefire 4N that's on the 870. I just like it. Apparently they're moving away from that sort of design now, but either way, I was able to find a good way to put a light on here. Obviously I've got the Nordic extension here, which comes with the Picatinny rail and a sling mount. We'll get to the sling in a minute. I put a Surefire Scout light, one of the new Pro models that allows you to sort of cinch it in with the gun so it's nice and close. I like that a lot. But at first I didn't know exactly how we were going to run that, but then I noticed that GG&G made a light mount, and in theory it's a good idea, except it puts your light way back here, so you're going to get shadowing and things like that. Then I realized, wait a minute, I can just put my pressure switch on here. So this is, of course, not cheap, but it did allow me to have a pretty compact setup here, so I don't have a bunch of crap hanging all down the gun, and I don't have a light just sticking out here that I really can't access. So I've got a good, it's accessible, you know, it's no problem accessing it. The only thing, you know, the only functionality you lose is I can no longer click it. I can't leave it in place like I can with my Surefire 4N on my 870, where I can search my property and just keep the light on, you know, which is usually what you're doing. I understand issues with light in tactical situations, but usually when you're out, like I live out in the woods, I've got a lot of property, and when I'm hunting for something, it's typically something like coyotes, alligators, etc. And you know, I don't really care about keeping the light on. I would like to be able to do that, but I can't with this setup. But either way, what you need is the Nordic extension, a Surefire light. I believe you could run a Streamlight ProTac and do the same thing. It might stick off a little bit more, but whatever. You need the GG&G mount, which is, I mean, it's available from GG&G all the time. And that pretty much solves all your light issues. All right, next up, sling issues. I was having a lot of difficulties with the sling, and one of the people who watches this channel pointed out to me that they had mounted a QD point right about here, and that it had solved all their issues. I did that, and I actually made a video of it, which I'm including at the end of this video to show you how. But essentially all you do is you take a 1/2-inch drill bit and drill a hole in the side of your shotgun, and you put this Noveske QD point back in your shotgun. And there's a backing plate. Be careful with that. The backing plate will want to twist. You're going to need a wrench to hold it in place, because when it twists, it's going to cut a nice little larger circle in the back of your, and I imagine at some point it'll come through. You'll see what I'm talking about if you buy this. It's an easy solution. You just follow their instructions and it won't be a problem. But do follow their instructions and make sure you use a wrench to keep the nut on the back from turning. All right, obviously I've got the Airdus chrome mount here. I was a little iffy on this when I first got it, because the rail that's on here, although a little bit high, it worked fine, but I've grown to appreciate it. It is nice, and it does bring the optic down and makes it a little bit more compact. The way it mounts to the shotgun is nice. It allowed me to put an RMR on here, so I've really got it down. So I've got the optic real down, I mean real close to the bore. It's handy and it's more natural, so it's definitely worthwhile. The RMR, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it really transforms a shotgun from being just something that, you know, you just generally throw pellets at something, to a precision weapon, especially inside of 50 yards. This thing right here is, you know, it's essentially a mega rifle. And of course you have slugs if you want to take a little bit further out, but within 25 to 30 yards especially with flight control, just into the game. This is a fight ender. Other than that, I have this S-Tac, I believe is the name of this company, but it's essentially, it's Velcro shot holders. It's pretty cool. It allows you to, you know, keep 2 or 3 of these and put them on here. What it's really good for, in my view, it's just good for going to the range, because these things are kind of a pain in the ass to load. It's nice to have 5 or 6 loaded. I still just load them at the range, but it's a nice setup. I originally had them as 7. I just trimmed it off to make it into 5, just because I felt like I don't want it to be, it's already, you know, taking up a lot of space here. The 2 extra shells, you know, they would be hanging, you had to have them either hanging up here at the fore end or hanging out here. I thought it was just a little too busy, so I trimmed it to 5. I do actually like these. They're quite handy, and they're not hard at all. Once you've had some shells in there for a little while, you can get them out easy. So I'm a convert on that. I do think that's a good system. All in all, I think that's pretty much the best way I can conceive of right now to set up your 1301. Obviously, I think an Aimpoint Micro would also be excellent. I bought this RMR on sale, so it's not like I'm making some, you know, claim that the RMR is better than the Aimpoint. No, I got a real good deal on this one, and it does the exact same thing with, you know, with a couple of differences. So for now, I think this is the way to set it up. If you've got any ideas or tips, I mean, again, like the stock solution, I mean, the sling solution came from a viewer, so I'm real glad I didn't give his name, because I didn't know if he'd appreciate that. But other than that, I think this thing's done. I mean, it is definitely going to be for the foreseeable future, and maybe forever, my beside the bed shotgun. I just took it out today, ran another 50-60 shells through it. It never gives me trouble. It always works perfectly. It's just a joy to shoot, and you know, it puts the rounds exactly where you aim them. Really can't ask for anything else. So, all right, guys, I think this is about it for my 1301 for now, unless something goes wrong or unless there's some other miraculous solution that presents itself. I think this is probably going to be about as much as this is probably going to be the end in terms of me talking about 1301, unless like I said, I have some issue down the road. All right, guys, y'all take care. All right, now we're going to go ahead and try to mount this QD cup. I went ahead and just taped the instructions on the side of the stock. Obviously, you have to remove the butt. If you feel back here, there's a little slot, and there's enough room there for that. And you're also going to need to make sure that there's enough room to fit your wrench in here, because once you get the hole drilled, this will go in the back, and then you will screw the QD cup into that. All right, obviously, I just taped the instructions on here, which has a 1/2 inch hole in the right spot. Hopefully this works. I've got a drill bit, probably not the correct drill bit, but whatever. I'm gonna try to even it up here and drill a hole through here. Oof. Let's see what we got. Okay. Looks okay. Nice. All right, now we've got the flash cleaned up. The next step is to take this nut. You'll notice that it has teeth on one side. We'll stick that in, teeth side up into the hole. Take this. Now, I will note that the instructions say you should go ahead and apply Loctite or a thread locker to it. I will point out, though, that it includes Loctite. There's already thread locker applied, so I guess the question is which one do you use? It says to tighten it finger tight, and then after you get through with that. Alright, sorry about that. We're going to have to restart because the battery in my phone died. Either way, it's pretty straightforward. What we've done is we've taken the nut on the back, which has the teeth, and we've stuck it in there. And I think the camera was running when I did that, so hopefully I'll have a way to go ahead and edit these two together. We'll just take this. Dang it. Easier said than done. Essentially, we use the wrench to keep the nut from turning as we tighten the QD cup. All right, there you go. Finally have a good place to mount my sling. All right, we'll test it out tomorrow, make sure everything's working right.